Thank you, thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. We're going to just introduce ourselves first. Hi, I'm Madeline Hamersky. I'm a digital strategist at Grassroots Analytics, where I specialize in running digital programs. That means email, texting, digital ads for candidates, specifically right now, a couple of House candidates.
Hello. This is on? Okay. I'm Grayson Hernandez. I'm a deputy digital director at Grassroots Analytics. I've been working in digital fundraising for almost 7 years, from House PACs to congressional candidates, and yeah.
Howdy. So my name is Clayton Tucker. I'm representing myself. I am a statewide candidate, Texas Agriculture Commissioner. I've been a candidate before. Ran for Texas State Senate, founded a couple caucuses, been very involved with the Democratic Party. I have a lot of things and opinions to say, and I want to clarify that these are my opinions. That does not necessarily represent anyone else.
Hey y'all, Emily Wineland. I'm one of the co-founders of GoodChange. The better half of GoodChange is Becky Pittman right over there. GoodChange is an online payments platform. We do everything you need, provide more tools than you've ever wanted and ever thought about, and we're here to help. I've been a professional grassroots Democratic fundraiser for 19 years and 8 months. I'm not calling it 20 till it's 20 because, there's too much maintenance going on to do that. But here to help today, excited to be part of this panel. Thank you for running for office and considering and doing the work here. It's just an honor to be present in this room today.
All right. So also quick shout out to Nancy. She's killing it today. All right, so I want to start off by saying the one thing you really need to know about fundraising, which is that anybody can do it. Any candidate, any organization, any office you're running for, you can fundraise. Fun fact, Texas is number 2 among states with the most cash given to political campaigns and orgs. That's 30% of that money is to Democrats, 70% Republicans, but even with that, that still puts Texas at number 9 among states that give the most cash to Dems. So y'all are running for office in Texas. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everything's bigger here, right? Especially when it comes to the Democratic donor base. So all you have to know how to do is reach those donors. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
I know, big subject there. Let's talk about what fundraising is, right? So we're going to break up fundraising into 2 kind of segments. Traditional fundraising. So that's your call time, events, direct mail. When you think about anything that you're doing face-to-face with someone, or those traditional networks of asking friends, family, friends of family, family, friends, everybody in your network for money, that's that traditional fundraising. We can also look at digital fundraising. So that's texting, emails, ads, all of that stuff. Anything that you would need a smartphone to interact with maybe is a great way to think of it. That's digital fundraising. It's a really great way to leverage your network and expand beyond maybe the people that you know and the people that they know. Yeah, reaching those small dollar donors with big impact. There is a lot of space in this digital fundraising area for expansion, looking at strategic list acquisition and leverage. Yeah. Boop, next.
All right. So, how do you build a strong donor base today to have the resources to win tomorrow? And the answer, digital outreach. Sorry, I have a lot of crazy notes. So this reaching your donors in the digital age, raise your hand if you've ever received a fundraising text. So, sorry. If it might have been us. If you didn't like the text, it wasn't us. But as somebody who's sending fundraising texts, we know they're not people's favorite thing to see sometimes on your phone, but they are such an effective way to get eyes on you and your campaign. and to bring in new donors. And the fact that so many of you raised your hands shows that we're reaching people who are involved and invested. Basically, the people who are most likely to see the value in democratic donations and how their money can make a difference. Texting with an effective message can introduce your campaign to someone who might not know who you are, but will potentially connect with your message, your mission, your org's mission, and throw you a few dollars. And that's the power of low-dollar fundraising. And we could also talk about email. When we think about email, we think of it as a cheap and effective way to do this as well, a bit less invasive in terms of like being on your phone because, you check your emails probably not as frequently as you do your texts, or maybe you still do. I don't really, but maybe I should. And what you have to consider is who and how people are viewing those fundraising asks. Some people are super active via email, but most are more responsive to text, like I said. Email's key, but should not be the only avenue which you build your digital fundraising program. You could also look at digital ads, direct to camera, Meta, Instagram, Google search ads, which I know have been talked about during this conference already. I don't want to repeat, that, but feel free to come to us with questions later on those specifics when it comes to digital ads too, because those could also really be an effective way. Like, for example, let's say somebody, you send a fundraising text to somebody, they look you up on Google, and you have key search words that you pay for Google search ads, and they see, oh, okay, they go to your website, make a donation. That's kind of how that digital sphere expands and gets you gets you in front of more people. And all of three of these things have various base prices. So no matter where you are with funds, there's a program that you could start building. Do you want to go on?
Yeah, exactly what Grayson is saying. So basically, once you acquire a donor, once someone's interested, has donated to your campaign, that is a donor that has entered your life cycle, right? So you want to cultivate and maintain that donor. Exactly. So, and that's done through all three of these things: texting, email, digital ads, all of that, getting your name out there so that when they see a text from you, they see an email from you, they're like, oh, I know what their mission is, what they're going for, and how I can help them and support them through my donation. So everything is connected with each other. So it feeds each other, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Next slide.
And I do want to say that, since every fundraising channel is connected to each other, the person who gives their first $5 on a text could be the person who turns around and gives $500 later on an email or through call time. So all of these channels are very much connected. And it's a system that lends to each other and feeds each other. And, oh wait, which one is this? Yeah, okay. Now, when it comes to building your donor base, the big question is how you talk about yourself, how you talk about your org, your mission, who you are, the best way to really make yourself stand out from the crowd. I'm sure so many people are getting political fundraising texts and emails from so many different candidates. What makes you stand out? And building your donor base through that is to introduce yourself authentically. What's going to make you break through the noise? What kind of race are you running in? What's the history of this district, this county, et cetera? What's your personal background? Where did you grow up? Maybe you're a teacher. Maybe you come from a family of farm workers. Maybe you have a personal experience that is relatable to others and very, very relevant to where we are as a country today. What got you in the fight? And who are you fighting and running for? I want to, some examples of that. And this could also apply to your organization's mission, as well as, your campaign as a candidate. Basically, finding your unique selling point and run with it. So I want to give a few examples too. So I currently run a digital program for Joanna Mendoza. She's a candidate running an AZ6 against Juan Ciscomani. An example that she used to really leverage herself as a unique candidate is she's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. She was a drill instructor, and she's running in a red to blue flipped seat. So what she did with a few other people who are running in red to blue races across country, they formed what are called the Hellcats, which the Hellcats historically were the first female service members to join the Marines. And there's a group chat that kind of started with Joanna, with Rebecca Bennett running in New Jersey, with Mara Sullivan running in New Hampshire, and Kate Conley in New York. These are all women service members who are running in red to blue races or competitive races. So they call themselves the Hellcats, and that's been incredible for fundraising. And they've even had they've made political articles. They're getting their name out there and that brand, because that's a way to brand themselves. In fundraising, you're really just selling yourself as a candidate, and you want to do that in a unique way. Another example, I also run Maxwell Frost's digital program. He's a member of Congress for Florida 10. His unique selling point was becoming the first member of Gen Z to run for office. That's something that's very unique, and I think he is still the only one running or as a Gen Z member of Congress. Same with Mary Peltola in Alaska, former representative in Alaska. We built an entire email and text digital program based on fish, because because she's Alaska salmon. One of her slogans is "Fish Family Freedom," pro-choice, pro-family, pro-fish. You don't really forget that one. And even more recently, I mean, the entire country is looking at Texas right now. And we've worked with quite a few state reps who capitalized on that moment when it came to fundraising, especially during the redistricting a few weeks ago. And they raised a ton of money because people are looking for that unique selling point, which is like a fighter. Like, some people want to see a Democrat doing something, and the entire nation was really inspired by that. And I mean, you need to leverage that for fundraising, because, like, look at who we're up against. We really don't have any other choice. So those are just some examples of finding a unique selling point and running with it. And you can really use any part of yourself. You just have to present it in an authentic way.
Okay, so once you have your unique selling point, your reason that you're running, the next thing is to really understand when to ask for money, right? So just sending a text saying, hey, I need $5. Okay, so maybe some people will donate. Realistically, though, there needs to be a reason. There needs to be some kind of thing that's happening that's like, why is my money going to make a difference right now to your race? Why is my $5 actually going to do anything? So looking at what's happening in the world, I mean, there are so many moments. Every single month is a moment to ask for money. Everyone here has gotten an end of month text, right? It's the end of month. We have to meet this goal. End of quarter text. End of fiscal year text. End of something. It's a text. So using those moments and distinguishing yourself as they come up, super important. Same thing with like things that are happening in the news. Obviously, keep in mind, we don't want to be fundraising off mass tragedies in like the moments after them, for example, but also understanding when to use it as I'm going to make a difference after maybe it's not so fresh. Do you have another comment on that?
Yeah. I mean, so general news headlines, it could also be things that are unique to your races, like race changes, there's a new poll, there's a new opponent, something that is a moment that you can really capitalize on. And now, once you have that donor's attention, once they get into the door, how do you keep them in the house? So you really need to like keep them engaged. And the goal isn't just to build a grassroots movement that's fueling your campaigns, it's to maintain it as well. And because you want it to be, it's not just you as a candidate, it's we. What are we running for? This is our race. You really want to capitalize on the we aspect of it all. Because you want it to be a collective movement. It's not just you running. Your donors are also in the fight too, and you want to bring them in. So what you do is keep them engaged through resoliciting during those big moments like race changes, news headlines, things like that. And for either your campaign or your organization's mission, let's say there's a new bill. There's always a new bill, I guess, right? But things like that you can capitalize on. And you also want to make the donor feel special because that's like a lot in this economy. It's a huge ask to donate to a campaign, and you should acknowledge that because if you are if your campaign's message is fighting for working people, you are also appealing to those working people, and you want them to know that they're on your side. You don't want to ask for $100 every time. That's a bit much. What I've seen really work, and we've tested this many times as well. When you're first asking somebody for money, ask them for $1 because from what we've seen, they'll usually give like 15 if you ask them for one because people really like being asked for $1. It's like a very oh my gosh, well I got more than that. Here's 5. That's a great way to get somebody in the door and keep them in the door by keeping that same tone of hey, I hate asking you for money, because if you're a candidate running for office, I'm sure you hate asking people for money. That's not the best part of running for office, I'm sure. I wouldn't know, but but you just want to make them feel appreciated for lending them, for them giving you their hard-earned money, because right now it's harder than ever to earn it. Yeah, and then you want to go more into
So for the copy that you're actually sending to potential donors or your current donors, really broad strokes of things to think about. Be concise, be clear. People's attention span is super duper short. If you can't say it in 60 seconds, or if someone's going to move on to the next thing faster than you can say alakazam. So making sure it's nice and concise as you bring stakes. Why are you donating? Why is it important that their money makes the difference? It's super easy to say, hey, can I have $5, like we said, but why specifically is it their money? Why do they care? Hey, I'm super passionate about abortion rights. Hey, I'm super passionate about gun safety. Those are the things that will make you stand out versus someone who just says, I need $5. And lastly, those big rapid response moments. I hope that everybody, if you take anything from this panel, please send end of month, end of quarter texts. It's easy money. It's ways to get people in the door. It's something to remember, and also it's on your calendar every month. So using those moments that are already built in for your fundraising, as people are seeing on the news, Democrats are fighting. It's not the end with a text message. Yeah. To wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, if you're going to take anything away from this, I hope you do. To sum it up, start investing in digital fundraising channels early because it's going to pay off in the long run. And please, if anybody wants to talk more about starting up their digital programs or would like to get into the nitty-gritty of digital, like when it comes to deliverability, platforms to send email and texts from, anything that we haven't touched on, we're in the back corner. So please hit us up.
Yeah, no, I would reiterating, if you're wondering right now, how do I send a text? How do I send an email? Those are questions that we can answer. Will be in the back.
Alrighty. So let's have a little bit of real talk. I would like this to be as dialogue and as conversational as we can, okay? And we're just going to agree we're all amongst friends. So if I need to be brutally honest about something, I'm just going to be brutally honest about it, okay? Raise your hand if you are a candidate right now or about to be. Okay? Hands down. Raise your hand if you're in a blue district. All right? Raise your hand if you are in a purple district. Raise your hand if you're a district that's so red it's stupid. All right. So I definitely feel for the folks in the very red districts. When I first ran, I ran for Texas State Senate. It was the Texas Hill Country. It was 80-20 Trump. I knew I wasn't going to win. I was just taking the piss out of the Republicans. And we still managed, I took call time very, very seriously. And we managed to out fundraise all the non-incumbent Democrats. We raised, I think, 130,000 in a district literally everyone knew, including myself, that I was going to lose. But we still managed to we knocked like 5% off, and we outperformed Biden in a couple areas. So I want to quickly back up and talk about the context. Like, how did this used to work, right? Because there's a lot of frustrations with the Democratic Party. It's justified. And the way it used to be, I'm talking this is LBJ era, right? Is the party has never given candidates money. But the way it was is once you became the nominee, the AFL-CIO and other unions gave you your volunteers, and the trial lawyers gave you your check. And that was it. That was your volunteer base. That was your money. The first thing the Republicans did when they came in power, they kneecapped both of those organizations. Right to work, kneecapped a lot of labor unions. And they're doing it again with even more stuff. All of the tort reform, kneecapped the trial lawyers. They systematically defunded Democrats in this state. And they tore apart our original historic volunteer base. So if it seems hard, that's by design. The Republicans did this to us. So let's talk about a few tricks of what I learned through my multiple hours of call time. And then I'm definitely going to want to take, we'll probably pass it off, and then we'll probably definitely want to take questions. Okay? So here are some tips and tricks that I found works fairly well, at least for me. I do want to emphasize that what works well for me may not work well for everyone. I am a big proponent of throw everything against a wall, see what sticks, run with it. Digital advertising has never worked good for me. I have never raised money from social media. Some people are fantastic at it. Some people are phenomenally good at it. I am not one of those people. I've been one of those people if I just dredged through call time. That's how I've always managed to do it. If you can make the person you're calling laugh within the first 30 to 60 seconds, you will get money. 100%. They might not give what you ask for. They might not give it to you that day, but they'll give you something. So like I would always, I help take care of my 95-year-old grandmother, and there's always something funny going on. So I usually crack a joke about that. Like during the 2020, I would say, you know, like, oh, I help take care of my grandmother. You know, I sometimes think she loves my dog more than she loves me, because if I ever show up to her house without my dog, she tells me to leave and don't come back until I bring Stella. You know, it doesn't have to be anything major. Like now, it's most people get a crack when I say, oh, I'm running around like a headless chicken. You know, it doesn't have to be anything. It's just like a little chuckle. It doesn't have to be a hearty laugh. But if you can get them to laugh within the first minute, guaranteed money. Another thing to really think about, I usually don't write list, but just for y'all, I actually wrote a list of what I want to talk about. Try to build up to about 20 hours a week to the best of your ability. I know that's not easy. I myself am not doing 20 hours a week, and my staff is very, very mad at me for that. So just really work towards building that up. Don't focus on the number of calls you make per hour quite yet. Really focus on how many hours. The calls will increase. When I started off, once I hit that 20 hours, I was doing maybe 25 to 50 calls a day, but once I really got in the ring of it, it was 80 to 100, right? And it took me 5 months before I really got into a rhythm. One thing we're doing now, I didn't do this before because I didn't know how, but we're now automating as much as we can. So for instance, when someone is added to my donor list or my prospective donor list, their contact information is automatically added to my phone. Their name, their location, and how much I want from them. So in the rare case they call me back, I know exactly who they are, I know where they're based, and I know what to ask for. And sometimes I put other information like who are other candidates they donate to. I have always found it incredibly useful to know who these folks have donated to. If you see someone who's only ever donated to one candidate, those are tough nuts to crack. If they only ever donated to Beto, that's tough. If they only ever donated to Bernie, that's tough. If they ever donated to Andrew Yang, Godspeed. But if you see folks who donate to like a lot of different candidates, particularly if it's a mix of candidates and party organizations, high chance they'll donate. So let's say you call someone, right? You're talking to them, you ask them for money, and they say, well, I don't really want to give right now. We discovered a little trick that actually worked surprisingly well for us. It's human nature that if you say no to someone once, you're very likely to say yes to the next question. So what we would say is like, okay, I understand. Well, could I send you an email with some information about the campaign and then just forward it to some folks? First off, it's a great way to get their emails. I would say 90 to 95% of people agreed. And then they usually donated like a week or 2 or 3 later. Like they usually come around. So that's a really good trick. A/B test everything. So like I A/B test my talks. The way we did it is, I'm dyslexic, so like I don't really read too quick. So it was more like intro, sound like a human, and then my script, my ask was fully written out. And we'd always experiment. And one thing we experimented with is whether or not to leave a message. I found that if I leave this long message, I'm Clayton Tucker, I'm running for blah, 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 very few people call me back, like maybe one. But if I did, hey, this is Clayton, call me back. People call you back to them. They get curious. And then once they realize you're a candidate, they're like, oh, dear God, what did I do? So at least for me, that has worked significantly better. I know there's different cases where like, yeah, sometimes you probably should leave a longer message, but other times I don't. We definitely experiment with times a day, like calling retirees or employed folks during the day works well. Our best times up to this point is from like 10 a.m. to noon and 2 to 4. Then we do weekends as well, and evenings are usually for the workers. Lawyers, I have better luck with lawyers on Fridays. Why Fridays? I don't know. I don't ask questions. I'm just like, okay. Then let's see here. Say what? The dentist as well? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I usually don't know what phone it is that I'm calling. And oh, yeah. So like, I'm gonna try not to name names. Big lawyer up in Dallas. I called his secretary or assistant, and I just was able to schedule a call. But he donates to like everyone. So then, as they talked about, goals and deadlines are great. The more candidates, the better. Here's something that really helped me get going. It's kind of, have y'all heard of like the 4 circles? Anyone familiar with that? So there's basically 4 circles of giving. So you got the personal, ideology, acts, and power. Personal is, you like me, I like you, support me. I'm your friend, I'm your family. I made you laugh, Ideology, that could be, just take your pick. It could be democracy, it could be Medicare for all, it could be climate, whatever you're running for. Acts is probably where it's actually a little bit easier to get money. That's like, I'm running against Sid Miller because he sucks. It's very easy to tap in, particularly the activist space is very easy to tap into the acts. Power is the hardest one, but power is usually where the biggest checks come from. That's like your $10,000 checks. That takes time. That takes relationship building. And you still can get some of those, but it's much more difficult. And usually the power folks want to see a grassroots base before they write you a big check. It took me a long time before I got any sizable check. You can also always do action pipelines. So like we have things where like, oh, you don't want to do anything, we'll sign a petition. Like it's easier to ease folks in. Petition and move on forward. And of course, never forget thank you cards. You can reasonably automate that as well. We've automated it where once someone donates, if it's above a certain amount, a letter's made. Otherwise, it's a postcard made. Then the main thing is it gets easier over time. It's like one of those things. It gets easier, but it's never easy. I kind of compare it to fishing. You're not going to get it every time, but if you are able to convince yourself to have fun, it makes it a lot easier. That's why I do the jokes. That's why I try to, because when I'm making people laugh, it makes me feel better. It makes me a little bit more motivated to stick doing calls. So I think I'll pass it off, and then if we have questions, you can either ask here or you can find me. I'll be here all day, so.
Thank you. Could I have that? Thank you. I always hate saying next slide. So Emily Wineland, GoodChange, great tips on call time. Grassroots did a great job explaining the digital world, so I'll stick to the more old school traditional fundraising because that's what GoodChange does. We empower you to take old school relational fundraising techniques, but we've made it digital at scale, and we are the fastest, cheapest product you have for your online donations. So, this way. Maybe. Oh, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to be that girl who says next slide. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. So real quick, we're gonna talk through call time follow-up because once you have the commitments, you have to actually make the money come in, right? Then we're gonna talk through events, the spare change roundup. I know you're curious now. Now I got you. We're gonna talk through bundlers and how anybody can be a bundler. And then we're gonna talk about fee cover and how getting online digital donations can cost you nothing. Right? Okay, I see happy faces. Thanks. Okay, so Pledge Chaser. One of the unique things GoodChange offers, we do one-time donations, we do monthly donations, we do a spare change roundup we'll talk about in a second, but we also have a built-in Pledge Chaser. It works like an email mail merge. You create a customized message, and then you can put different delays in between each email, make as many message sends as you want. So Clayton did great. He landed that $10,000 pledge, right? So he puts a custom email together. Thank you so much for $10,000 and your right kidney. I appreciate the contribution. And that email goes out. Then there's like a 2-day delay, a 4-day delay, whatever kind of delay he wants. And then there's a follow-up. Thank you so much for your commitment to our campaign. We are budgeting on your pledge. Some fun little keywords there. And you can do as many custom messages as you want, and they just automatically go out. Now here's the beautiful part. Not only is it your message, your donate button, your everything that's reminding them, also, when they give, it stops, and then they receive their regular thank you email. And you can track it all as in a beautiful little graph on our system. It's an easy way to do things. Now, why do we have a Pledge Chaser? As I told you, I am a very old person who's been doing political fundraising for a very long time. When I was the finance director for big races, half of my job was getting the call time reports from the previous days, looking to see who actually gave and who didn't, and then chasing it. And I was a dog on the hunt day after day. Do you know how much more money I could have raised if I had been freed up to actually like make connections, fill out more PAC questionnaires, do the things that finance directors are supposed to do? It's easy. And if you don't have a staff, this is your staff right here. They can do that for you. So your staff can work on relationships, free you up. So next thing, please. Speaking of relationships, events. How many of you have been to a political house party? I'm not talking gala, like an old school backyard house. Yes, right? With some box wine, somebody put in a picture and pretended like it was nice and it was delicious and you had the best time. That's what house parties are back, y'all. Whatever COVID is has happened. We've all accepted the fact we're going to have it twice a year, once a year, whatever. House parties are back. Use it, go. If you're doing a house party right, it is the perfect way for a person, whether they have whatever kind of house or property, to open up their home for you and to give you a fundraiser that can make anywhere from, I think the lowest I've ever seen is $2,500. I have thrown house parties that have raised $150,000 in a night. There is no limit. There are a couple tricks. One, GoodChange, yes, we fixing all the things. GoodChange enables you to send out an event fundraising form where not only can they select the level at which they want to give, but they can select multiple tickets And on the back end, they can RSVP, so you know how much cheap wine to buy. Isn't that wonderful? So you actually can get reports that make it simple, so you know who's coming. You can, even if not everybody RSVPs, you can give your host like a minimum head count. Like, we know we're going to have at least 50 people here, so you need to buy 5 boxes, right? So you know how to go for your events. House parties are great because it is the essence of what we need right now for political fundraising. The trick to making money, especially in the red districts — I live in Arkansas, if you can't tell by my accent — is humans talking to humans about the candidates and causes they care about. And we've created a digital way to make that easy, to help spread the word, to help get people in the room so they can see you, so they can hear you, so they can be seen, so they hear your lovely stump speech, which, by the way, I go on soapboxes. I'm going to give you free consulting advice. If you are hosting a house party, if somebody's hosting a house party for you and you are a candidate, your speech should be no longer than 4 minutes. If you cannot say it in 4 minutes, you have lost them. They came to a fundraiser, they did not go to church. Also, they probably drank all their beer in that time and need a refill. So donors also can cover the fee here. We'll talk about that in a second. But GoodChange has the tools to make those events easy, simple, and ready to go for you. Other pet peeve on house parties: do not spend on that. Well, hopefully your host pays for everything, so it costs you nothing. But do not spend on any event more than 10% of what you plan to bring in. 90-10. Don't waste your money. Nobody's going to remember the food. Nobody's going to remember the bad wine from the box. Everybody's going to remember your amazing 3-minute stump speech, and that you took the time to shake their hand and say thank you. Okay, next one. Spare change roundup. So I could give you a big, beautiful story about the spare change roundup. The spare change roundup is actually how GoodChange started. Becky Pittman and I were the only 2 professional Democratic fundraisers in the state of Arkansas when we met. And misery loves company, so we would compare notes on crazy things we were doing. And we handed out mason jars with campaign stickers, and we'd ask people to put spare change into mason jars. And I was telling Becky this story of this one time I did it. We raised $19,000 in spare change for a state rep race in Conway County, Arkansas, when the whole campaign only needed $20,000 in 3 months on pennies. So Becky very politely called me a dinosaur and told me we should go build a spare change roundup, which is what this is. How many of you have ever been asked for pennies at a checkout? Like, can you round up for the Children's Hospital? Yeah, that's what this is. Your donors can register a bank account, credit card, debit card, whatever they have, and then they go live a life. It is a virtual roundup, so we virtually round up all the pennies to the even dollar. At the end of the week, there's a one-time charge to their card or their bank account to you. It averages about $8 a week. If you're doing the math in your head, that's $340 by the end of the year. And it's a really simple way for them to give. And it's very great because it tailors to their spending habits. The more they spend, the more they give. The less they spend, the less they give. We added in a couple cool things for them. They can add a ceiling, so they can say, I never want it to go over $10. Or they can add a multiplier. So we have some people doing spare change roundups with 5 times multipliers. That's about $45 a week. It's pretty nice. And it's the perfect ask for what I call the forgotten middle. People who give you $50 to $100 one time and never come back to you. It's also a perfect ask at the end of your event. You gave me your dollars today, would you give me your pennies tomorrow? So it's just a simple way to get things going. Could I have the next slide? Bundlers. How many people have heard of bundlers? How many people want a bundler? How cool would it be if there was a tech where everybody could be a bundler? I know I just set that up. That was cheesy. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. It was just right there. So GoodChange, we just launched this new tool. We have a bundler tool where any donor who is signed into GoodChange, they can either just be signed in or have just given. All they have to do is give and share. Once they share it on their GoodChange dashboard, because every donor on GoodChange has their own dashboard where they can see all their donations, their little bundler tool pops up, and they then know who from the share actually gave and who didn't. so they can go chase their own pledges, and they can see the total number of dollars they're bringing into your campaign. And it will work with whatever link has been shared. So if they get a text message from Grassroots and then they share it, it goes to their bundle. If they get an event link from the house party that just happened, it goes to the bundle. It all comes back to them automatically so they can keep up with it. But even better, it ranks them among other people doing the same thing. So they can click into it and they can see, oh, Becky's raised $100,000 for Clayton, but I've only raised 80. So I better get on it. Right? And then I can compete with Becky to see who brings in the most money for the candidates and causes I care about. Last thing, I saved the best for last. GoodChange never, ever, ever asks for a tip. America's a tipping culture. Tips belong to humans, period. Tipping does not belong to software. Instead, we empower donors to cover the fee. Donors cover the fee 85% of the time on our site, and when they do, it costs you nothing. The rest of the time, it's $3.75 and 25 cents. So donors are able to cover that fee and make it cheap for you. A gift. There was a request in the room for help fundraising. It will not be a GoodChange commercial. It will be 30 minutes with Becky or I, digging into your campaign, listening to your problems, talking about what solutions are out there that can help. If you don't need help with fundraising and you have plenty of money, do not scan that. If you might need an idea or two or a crazy thought, scan away. And the last one is just our regular information. So, goodchange.app, Emily and Becky. Actually, would you go back to the consultation one? Because I think people are still doing it. We're here to help, whatever you need. If we have time, can I add 3 call time tips? Okay, 3 call time tips. 1, be yourself. You've heard that several times. But like literally be yourself in that moment. How many, I think we said that nobody liked asking for money. We raised hands and nobody likes it. The most endearing way to do call time, and you can tell my age when I do this instead of this. The most endearing way to ask for money is to call someone and say, hi, this is Emily. I'm running for president. That's right. I just run for president. This is Emily. I'm running for president. This is the worst moment of my day because I'm about to ask you for money. But I'm asking you for money, and we're having this terrible moment because it's this important because of A, B, and C. Go ahead and own your emotions. Donors know when you're being fake, so don't be fake. Don't try. However, do not have imposter syndrome. You are running for office. You are already a public servant. So Becky, the brilliant back there, she does wonderful things with her call time clients. All right, we're going to stand up. She makes everybody do power poses. Get big. Play walkout music. She had one client one time that had to listen to Whitney Houston's national anthem, version of the national anthem. Who doesn't get hype after listening to Whitney Houston sing the national anthem, right? So get in the headspace of asking for money. And the last tip, are you ready? Everybody in the world is insulted when you think they're poor. Do not look at a call sheet and say, this is just a teacher. I'm not going to ask them for $100. Everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to be seen. And that teacher might give you $100, and that might be their own personal max out. But it is a gift, and it has value. So do not undercut anybody by thinking they can't contribute to your campaign. Everybody wants to be involved. Questions?
All right, questions. All right, coming over.
For Clayton, other than the vans list, where else do you get your list to call? I mean, yours is statewide, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I guess in any candidate, basically, they'd be statewide, but where did you get your list other than vans or what software? What do you use?
Okay. So it is easier when you call in your district, but it's not always 100%. So let me preface it by saying that you cannot get donor lists from the FEC and TEC. That is technically a crime. No one gets their information that way. So you can look up other ways. You could hire groups to get that. If you would rather look up Transparency USA has a lot of information. They don't provide contact information, but that's where True People search, or you have Ban, you can get that. The system we use is Nation Builder. They're a competitor to Van, and that's who we use. We use it for basically all of our things, minus a couple things. That's where a lot of our automations I mentioned comes from. That's what the Progressive Caucus uses, so we've had some pretty good success there. And there's a group called Grassroots Nation that I am, full transparent. What's the word? Transparency. I am involved with Grassroots Nation. It's we just help set up nation builders basically for folks. So that's how I would start.
All right, next question. Okay. I'm coming down, Stephanie.
Oh, what I was going to say, one of my favorite ways to build a list is to call the people. So you have to do your Rolodex first, right? Like everybody's done their Rolodex. The people who gave to you initially in your Rolodex, call them back a month later and start the conversation by saying, I'm not asking for money again. I'm asking for 3 people that you know that I don't know who I can call today. And then ask if you can use their name or not use their name. But expanding your network naturally that way is also free and a good way to do it.
So my name is Stephanie Board. I'm running for the Texas House in the Houston area, Klein, Tomball, Spring. And I also am the editor for my neighborhood magazine, their monthly magazine. And every month I get an ad from the Northwest Republican Women of the Forest or something. And they have these events every single month where they're charging $25 at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday for people to come and listen to speakers and have lunch. And my idea was to have a fundraiser where I ask people, like, if you're going to come in the door, you have to donate $1 and a canned good for, like, the Houston Food Bank. And I'm wondering about some feedback on this because, I'm not a well-known person per se in my district. So, is somebody going to want to give $35 to come to an event? That kind of thing. What do you think about the food bank idea?
As I said at the very beginning, throw everything against a wall, see what sticks. If it sticks, run with it. If it doesn't, try something else. One thing I would add, and this is true for this event, but also other events, and we had some fun with this. So you have an event, whether people pay to get in there or get out, find some kids. The younger, the better. And after you are done, place them at all the exits and make the joke that some of y'all paid to get in here, but you are all going to have to pay to get out. And have those kids ask for tips. QR codes, other sign-up forms. You can get a surprising amount of money that way. Particularly, again, the younger the kids, the better.
Any other questions? Yes. Okay, hold on. Who said yes? I heard somebody. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay.
I'm Veronica Williams, and I've been here for 2 days, like many here, and we have heard a plethora of information. Now, the collecting the coin idea, fabulous. Using kids, fabulous, because I have many grandchildren. However, I also remember this thing about how do I report that, right? So then with coins and all this money, how do I ethically report that?
To be really clear, the Spare Change Roundup on GoodChange is fully compliant. So it's a donation form where we collect employer and occupation, street address, and everything you need, because it's an online Spare Change Roundup. I don't recommend actually do it in mason jars the way we started out. It was a nightmare. So, because it required checks and all kinds of stuff, that's why Becky jokingly called me a dinosaur and made us build it digitally so it's compliant. So, yes.
So you probably said it. I just want to clarify. With fully compliant, that means that you give us reports monthly of what was raised through GoodChange?
Yes, you have a full dashboard that not only allows you to download reports of every contribution that comes through, we also have integrations into CRMs and databases, API endpoints and webhooks. So we have everything you need and a little extra, and things you didn't even know you did.
Okay, next.
Say you bought a list and a donor list, and somebody you call asks, "How did you get my information?" How do you respond? Do you have to tell them where you got their information from, or
Usually, if they're on a donor list, look, who you donate to is a matter of public record. How you got their number, I mean, honestly, if someone asks you that question, that conversation is probably about to go in the toilet anyway. So I don't think I've ever managed to, recover. I think I managed to, not get on their enemies list. I think that's the best I was able to do. But I personally have the rule I never reveal names. Not ever. This is my own personal thing. So usually I'm like, well, who you donate to is matter of public record, and we just want to check in with you. But if you don't want me calling you, I can remove you from the list. So that's usually how I handle it. Another thing just to remember, you're going for numbers. There are going to be some folks who tell you to F off. There's some folks who are like, I donate to the DNC, so I don't have to donate to candidates. I'm like, well, click. So you run into that, but it's not common.
How you doing, Clayton? Howdy. How does a county chair raise more money?
It is significantly easier raising money as a candidate than it as an organization. And I helped found the Texas Progressive Caucus. It's significant. When you're running a group, you kind of have to prove what you're using the money for. When you're a candidate, you sometimes do for some folks, but it's a lot less stringent. They're much more willing to give to you. With the caucus, we went very heavy into recurring memberships. There's that monthly recurring, whether it's $5, $10. We have a couple at $100. You can still find those folks. And through that recurring, really built us up to, at a point, we had more money than the state Democratic Party. I have some mixed feelings about us having more money than the state Democratic Party. It's like, oh, cool, we have more money. Oh, God, we have more money. So I'd focus on that and just be prepared for questions about how they use the money, and really also try to make it so evident how you use it that there's not even asked, postcards, voter outreach, voter this, that, or the other thing. If you can really have something they could see, kind of the show not tell, something you could show them, this is how the money's been used, does make it easier. And for y'all, recurring donations, for me, has been better for organizations.
This is for GoodChange, so I appreciate the app and everything you're doing. The question is, what about privacy and security? What do you guys do with this information that you're getting? Do we tell the constituents or people who are donating, what happens to that data when they do there? I have a lot of people who don't want to give through ActBlue for various reasons. I see this as a great alternative, but I'd like to know what you guys do with it.
We never buy, sell, or trade donor data. Donor data is donor data. It belongs. Now, if a candidate takes their data and does something with it, that's the candidate's prerogative, but we keep everything locked down tight. We do regular security testing, and we have cybersecurity insurance. So we will never, ever, ever buy, sell, or trade donor data, and we'll never, ever, ever take a tip.